Hi, I'm Shemaya. It's like papaya, except it's not. And this is Plot Twist Please. Welcome. We are doing it. Content creation nation. Okay, anyway. Today, once again, we're going to use pop culture to help your brain get a little cozier. And today, I'm trying something a little different. I am going to try a live react of a kind of video that I have talked about on this channel. Can you guess what it is? It's like a genre, a video. It's a body language reaction video. So I'm reacting to reaction video from a neurodivergent perspective. If you don't know, I'm on the autism spectrum. I would be considered a low support needs person, but I'm going to react to this video with that context in mind. And I'm going to try to be as fair as possible. This isn't permission to dox anybody. This isn't permission to go in someone's comments and light it ablaze or, slash someone's tires. Like, don't do that. Don't do any of that because I've just given you ideas. I realize. Don't do that. I do not co-sign that behavior. I'm going to click the first one, but quickly, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. Follow the podcast. Leave a comment if you agree or disagree with anything I'm about to say. Okay, so this one is former FBI agent explains how to read body language. No see. Theme song.
My name is Joe Navarro, and for 25 years I was a special agent with the FBI. My job was to catch spies. Most of my career I spent within the National Security Division. A lot of it had to do with looking at specific targets, and then it was about, well, how do we get in their heads and how do we neutralize them? Our security is based on nonverbals.
Neutralize. That sounds so urgent.
We look at the person through the peephole.
I guess neutralize means to make sure they're not a threat. Okay, that makes sense.
Look at who's behind us at the ATM machine. We know from the research that most of us select our mates based on nonverbal. So we may think we're very sophisticated.
Well, okay. I don't have issue with what he's saying. It just is frustrating to know that people find their partners based on nonverbal cues, because nonverbal cues are really hard for me. Very hard for the TISM. And explains why it's been, I don't know. I'm just going through a thing right now where it's like, I've always been single, but I think I am more recently becoming very aware of my singleness. Just like noticing it everywhere, every room I'm in, I'm noticing it. All the holiday parties I go to, I'm noticing it. All the Valentine's, like it really is a thing, and I'm getting a handle on it, guys, okay? But that is just discouraging to hear, I guess, that everyone is using nonverbal cues to attract people, and I just do not have those tools. Yeah. Moving on.
But in fact, we are never in a state where we're not transmitting information. There's a lot of myths out there. The ones that stand out is if you cross your arms, that it's a blocking behavior. That's just nonsense. Even when you don't like the person that is in front of you, this isn't to block them out. It's actually to self-soothe, because in essence, it's a self-hug. When you're
Okay, I do understand that. I self-soothe a lot. I like a little self-hug. I think my general stance, though, like when I'm around other people, is standing with my hands on my hips or like on my back pockets, or with my hands in front of me, like clutching my hands a little bit, like dee 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 dee, just to have something to do. I very rarely stand with my arms crossed, and I wonder if that's because I, like, low-key am afraid of being misinterpreted as unfriendly. I'm a black woman who lives in a black woman body, so statistically this is true. People tend to interpret black women having neutral stances, having neutral body language as them being threatening just because of the bodies they live in, which, is not, the onus is not on the black person. The onus is not on the marginalized person. The onus is on the people who are interpreting them that way. But I wonder if subconsciously I don't stand that way because I know that it could be a potential danger to me socially.
Sitting at a movie and you're watching, you're going to cross your arms. You're waiting for somebody, you tend to do this. What's interesting is we do this behavior more in public than in private. The other one that really stands out is as we think about something, we may look in a certain way. As we process the information, we may look in another way. It's certainly not indicative of...
I literally just did that.
of deception, and it really shouldn't be used that way. All we can say is the person is processing the information. The other misconceptions are that if the person clears their throat, touches their nose, or covers their mouth, they're lying. We do these behaviors as self-soothers. They're pacifying behaviors. Scientifically and empirically, there's just no Pinocchio effect. And people who prattle that and say, well, we can detect deception because the person touches their nose or covers their mouth, that's just sheer nonsense. We humans are lousy at detecting deception. Okay,
this is actually more enlightening than I thought it would be, because I think the problem here is I clicked a credible source. An FBI agent I would consider to be a credible source, someone online who's just is any person with a certain amount of followers could potentially just be a grifter, telling a bunch of strangers that because they put their hand on their hip, they're angry. Like, I was anticipating having a lot more critique. I mean, of course, I'm the authority on whether or not this FBI agent is telling the truth, but but this just seems credible. I like that he addressed the passive forms of body language, quote, nonverbal communication, because I'm always stimming. Like, and I think I've done it like several times in this video already. Like, I stim with my hair, I touch my face sometimes, I mess with my earrings, I just mess with myself. And a lot of neurodivergent people do need that repetitive action and use it as a stimming behavior, as some sort of pacifier.
Espionage work is often nowhere near what we see in movies, and in one of the cases, we had information from another country saying, you have an American we think is actually a mole who somehow entered the United States, is able to pass as an American, but he's here working for a hostile intelligence service. And just fortuitously, he was videographed coming out of a flower shop. We're looking at the video, and everybody in our...
This is like juicy. This is tea right here.
Small unit, we were saying, well, there's not much there. He's coming out of the shop, getting in his car. And I said, stop the film right there. Just as he came out of the shop, he took the flowers, and most Americans tend to hold the flowers by the stalk so that the flowers are up. This individual took them and grabbed the stalk and then held the flowers so that they were facing down. And I said, that's how they carry flowers in Eastern Europe. Rather than confront him about...
That's wild. Cannot confirm or deny. Don't know anything extensively about how Americans hold their flowers versus Eastern Europeans. But what a detail. What a detail. You know what I do wonder? I wonder if autistic people would make really good FBI agents. Because we're such detailed observers of people, of human behavior, because, we feel like we have to know how humans operate in order to blend in, because we don't feel like humans sometimes. We don't feel like we quite get the social rules. We feel like we have to study how people behave. I wonder if a lot of us would make really successful FBI agents. Sherlock Holmes, that's my dude. I'm a Sherlockian. I'm a homie. I'm a homester. We gotta find fan names for Sherlock Holmes. Let me know what you like in the comments.
So as I sat there with him, I said, would you like to know how we know? And he had this look on his face, and I said, it was the flowers. And then he confessed.
I feel like a lot of autistic people do not make good liars, is the thing. Because I feel like there are just social nuances that are involved in lying, or in telling untruths, or in telling half-truths, that we don't quite catch on to. And so that's why I feel like a lot of us are not very good at being dishonest. And I feel like a lot of us, just morally, don't see, it doesn't align with who we are, with our values. And I feel like to a lot of us, it might be, or it might feel unnecessary. We don't understand the social importance of lying, of being dishonest. It doesn't make a lot of sense to us why that is a necessary skill. And so we just don't buy in.
Assessment, what is this person transmitting in relations to any stimuli? My further questioning comes from my observing these behaviors. The first thing I look at is I look at the hair. Does it look healthy? Does it look well-groomed? The forehead is very interesting because a lot of times we reveal stress. A lot of the things that we have gone through life are often etched in the forehead. I look at the eyes to see if they're red or not enough sleep. This small area here between the eyes called the glabella, it's one of the first areas that reveals information to us. Most often when we don't like something, we do that bunny nose of I don't like. We don't really know what our lips look like, and we tend to compress them. When something bothers us, when something really bothers us, we tend to suck them in.
Now I'm doing that. I do that a lot. I make that face a lot. I think I do a lot of just like subtle face movements. But then again, I'm a very expressive autistic. I'm very extroverted. I get a lot of energy being around people. And so I do have a lot of exaggerated facial expression. I don't know why exactly, but I think that subconsciously I feel the need to be exact in how I communicate with people. So if I'm excited, I'm really excited. But if I'm happy, I'm like, I want you to know that I'm happy. Like, I want you to understand how happy I am. It's either that or it's the lack of ability to feign anything. Again, the lack of ability to lie or tell an untruth. If I'm feeling it deeply, I'm not very good at hiding it. So there's that.
Mandibula, and look at the cheeks. We may do something like this. We'll rub our tongue against the inside of the cheek. But when we try...
No, I'm just doing everything he's talking about. I'm just doing it as he's saying it.
We try to hide it, then it tells me that this person is trying to do some perception management. And if they are, I want to know why.
Oh, I'm always doing perception management. I'm always doing it. Oh my God. I think I found the point of dissent, I think, because no matter what I do or who I'm around, I'm going to be masking to some degree, unless it's like my little immediate family, like my siblings and my dad. Like, if you don't know what masking is basically the thing that a neurodivergent person might do in order to seem more friendly, in order to seem socially acceptable, or in order to seem safe in their community or people they're around at that moment. And I tried to explain, I remember I was like on a date with somebody. You don't need to know all the details, but I was on a date. And I was explaining to him what masking was. And it was just really hard for him to understand what that was. Like the concept behind it, he just didn't quite fully understand. Mind you, I think he was neurotypical, but I think it's just a concept that if you haven't lived it, that it's really hard for you to grasp. It's hard for you to grasp that someone would walk through the world with this extra layer of protection always. But for a lot of neurodivergent people, that's the case. It has to be for us, especially if you're a person of color.
At the neck, I want to see if there's any head tilt. Because head tilt, the person is more relaxed. The minute the head tilt goes away, there's usually some issue. I'm looking at the shoulders. You ask somebody a question and they don't know, both shoulders shoot up very quickly. And then I look at the hands. When something's troubling us, we tend to stiffen our fingers, interlace them, and almost like a teepee, we move our hands back and forth.
This guy's good. You know, since I've met so many FBI agents in my lifetime, I think he's top tier, top of the heap.
If you're looking at nonverbals, it's often useful to look at them at double the speed because all the nonverbals that are critical jump out at you as though it were a caricature. All right, so stop right there. The woman in position number 4, you see her head moving around quite a bit. Player number 3, you see a lot of activity with his hands. When we look at player number 5, now his hands are fully out. This is as far as we've seen them before.
I'm gonna make a prediction. I'm not an FBI agent, but let me predict. I'm gonna predict that if your arms are more forward, then you feel more comfortable, and your arms are more closer together to your body, then you're not as comfortable, either because you're more self-conscious or just lack of confidence overall in the situation, like the people you're around. Maybe I don't know. That's my prediction. Let's see if I'm right. Who knows?
At this point, we know that he's engaged and that he's interested. Now the game is out in the open.
Okay, wasn't right. I wasn't right, but you know. I'll guess.
You should be looking around to see, well, what was the reaction, because you're going to see that reaction again.
Wow, that's smart to look at people's reactions to their cards. I think I might try that on my next card game. Game on! Batter up! See, this might be why I don't play card games. I don't have a good poker face. I'm not a good face liar. Sorry I can't face lie, as well as some of y'all.
But I countered you can't have a poker body. Somewhere it's going to be revealed. When I was in college in the early 70s, there were really no courses on nonverbal communications. You quickly realize,
oh, I wish there was. I would be first in line. I would be right there in the front row. I wish there was a nonverbal cue class. Shoot, if y'all know any nonverbal cue classes, put them in the comments.
we primarily communicate nonverbally, and we always will.
Oh no! Oh no! Why? Why do we have to? Do we have to? Can we not? Can we use tone indicators in real life, please? You know, so for those of y'all who don't know, what tone indicators are combinations of symbols and letters that let you know what someone's tone is if they are communicating via written text or, over the internet, whether in an email or a text message or something of that nature, electronically. I wish we would just have that in real life. Like, I wish we would all just walk around with, like, tone indicator cards, and you could just be like, this is a joke, or this is me being serious, this is a very, like, genuine inquiry. Like, I wish there were things we could do. All that to say, thanks for joining me. Like, share, and subscribe. Let me know if you want me to do more things like this, or if you hated it, let me know. Be blessed and stay weird. All right.